My name is Beth Lewis and I'm the Herefordshire Council's Natural Flood Management Project Officer. Tonight I've been asked to talk to you about the River Wyne Lug Natural Flood Management Project. I'll also discuss how natural flood management can be used in urban settings. In case natural flood management is a new concept, natural flood management is all about using natural techniques to slow the flow of water and store more water within the landscape, as this helps to increase the length of time it takes the water to reach the watercourses, helping to reduce the flood peak and flood risk to downstream communities. As you can see on this image, there are numerous natural flood management techniques that can be adopted, ranging from soil improvement works to creating attenuation areas, planting trees and installing leaky dams. A lot of the focus of natural flood management is working at the top areas of the catchment, trying to slow the flow of water and hold back water in the areas that are more sparsely populated. This helps to reduce the flood peak, meaning that the flood risk is reduced to downstream communities. Now you may be wondering why I've put up images from a bathroom, but these images help to demonstrate the three principles of natural flood management. The bath represents attenuation areas, which are designed to be depressions within the landscape. These depressions are dry and empty for most of the time. However, during rainfall events, they help store water and hold back water. Water is then released back into the landscape at a slow rate, for example, through infiltration into the soil or via a controlled outflow. The bath mat represents increased surface roughness. By increasing the ground's roughness, for example by planting cover crops, you help slow down the flow of water across the land's surface. The sponge represents our aim to make the catchment soak up water. This can be achieved by adopting practices such as soil improvement works. Research has shown that 1 hectare of well-managed soil has the capacity to store the equivalent of 1.5 Olympic swimming pools worth of water during a 10 mm rainfall event. Natural flood management can achieve multiple benefits. Not only does it help to reduce flood risk, but it can also help to improve habitat diversity, improve water quality, reduce soil erosion, create a sense of community, and it can also enhance green spaces. I'm now going to give you some background to the River Wyne Lug Natural Flood Management Project. So back in 2017, DEFRA allocated £15 million to develop natural flood management projects. This funding was either allocated to catchment scale projects like the River Wyne Lug Natural Flood Management Project, which I'm working on, or to the smaller community scale projects such as the Yaser Brook Natural Flood Management Project in Hereford, which is being managed by Herefordshire Wildlife Trust and the Wynos Foundation. All of these projects form part of the Environment Agency's 6-year programme. All of the projects also have been set with the same aims and objectives. We're all aiming to reduce flood risk to local communities. We want to try and gather evidence to help develop our understanding of natural flood management. We want to try and engage communities and make them part of the solution. We also want to deliver wider benefits, for example, improving water quality and enhance biodiversity. The River Wyne Lug Natural Flood Management Project is being led by Herefordshire Council and, as shown at the bottom of the slide, is working in partnership with numerous organisations. The project has funding secured until March 2021. The project is working in 7 catchment areas in Herefordshire, which can be seen on this map. We are working on the Brimfield Brook, the Cheaton, Cogwell and Ridgemore Brooks above Leominster, the Tenstone Brook above Bromyard, the Bodnam Brooks, the Pentelow Brook, which flows into Morderford, the Red Norton and Twyford Brooks, which flow into Lower Bullingham, and the Dewless Brook, which flows into Ewes Harold. These catchments were chosen based on their suitability to have natural flood management and the number of properties at risk of flooding. One of the main focuses of the project is collaboration. It's essential that we all work together to develop a solution to reduce flood risk. In order to do this, we held project launch events. These events were well attended with just over 140 people taking part. From the back of these events, we have set up natural flood management community groups in each of the catchments, which give local residents the opportunity to share their local knowledge of flooding as well as keep informed of the project's progress. The project also has a multi-agency steering group, which helps ensure that the project is joining up and draws in experience from all different organisations involved. To help deliver the project, we have catchment advisors from the Wireless Foundation and Seven Rivers Trust, who are going out and engaging with landowners and providing them with free, tailored advice about the natural flood management opportunities available on their land. As part of their visits, the advisors often use a sign map, as shown here, to help identify the possible flow pathways. The flow pathways are shown in red areas on the map. The advisors also talk with the landowners about the different land uses and management practices in place on their farm or land. They are also conducting free soil tests, which involves taking a soil sample that is sent to the lab and analysed for organic matter content. They also assess the soil structure, worm numbers, and conduct an infiltration test. Using all of this information, the advisors are then able to make recommendations to the landowner about the different natural flood management opportunities available on their land. They also help identify funding opportunities to help implement the natural flood management, for example, the Mid-Tier Countryside Stewardship Scheme. The project has also set up the Natural Flood Management Construction Grant Scheme, which helps support landowners to implement natural flood management within the project's catchment areas. As you can see on the table, there is a wide variety of options available, including soil management options, overwinter cover options, in-field or in-channel water retention options, fencing and trackway improvement works. With the support of the Woodland Trust, the grant scheme is also encouraging landowners to plant trees in hedgerows. To date, we have received just over 50 applications to the grant scheme and have awarded around £60,000 worth of funding to implement natural flood management within Herefordshire. The project is going very well, and with the help of the advisors and landowners, approximately 72 hectares of arable subsoiling has been conducted, approximately 66 hectares of cover cropping has been planted, and nearly 7 hectares of maize has been undersown. 4 attenuation areas have also been built, covering an area of 960 metres squared, and 118 leaky dams have been built. 0.6 hectares of trees have also been planted through the project, and we have many plans to implement much more natural flood management over the coming months. One of the project's recent highlights is the construction of 27 leaky dams at Croft Castle, which is a natural trust site located at the top of the Ridgemore catchment. The work was a collaborative project between Herefordshire Council, the National Trust, Forestry England, Wireless Foundation and the Environment Agency. As shown on this map, the leaky dams were installed at the top of Fishpool Valley, which is a site of special scientific interest. They were also installed within the brook, upstream of the site of special scientific interest, on the land tenanted to Forestry England. The work started by having a training day on the different techniques that can be used to build leaky dams. This day was led by experienced staff at the Wireless Foundation and Environment Agency. Leaky dams are designed to allow the normal flow of water to pass beneath them. However, during a flood event, they helped hold back small volumes of water. When installed as a series of leaky dams, they collectively help reduce the flood peak. Through the project, we've installed a wide variety of leaky dams, ranging from leaky dams made of pleach trees to more formal-looking dams which are built from larger logs. All of the leaky dams have been built using natural materials that are sourced from the banks of the watercourse. One sec, sorry. After a day's training, everyone used their knowledge and skills to work together to build the 27 leaky dams. We were also helped out by volunteers at the National Trust, who helped to build 4 of the leaky dams. If you get a chance, I'd highly recommend taking a walk up Fishpool Valley to see the different leaky dams. And if you happen to go during a rainfall event or a flood event, please do take some pictures of the dams in action and send them to me. It's great. It would be great to see more photographs of them working. As I mentioned earlier at the start of the talk, one of the main objectives of this project is to gather evidence which helps us better understand the multiple benefits of natural flood management. As a project, we've developed a monitoring plan to help us do this. As part of the plan, we've installed river and rainfall monitoring stations in each of the project's catchment areas. These stations continually collect river level, flow and rainfall data at 15-minute intervals. This data is publicly available by the TimeView website and can be accessed using the login details shown at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. We plan to analyse this data to see how the catchments respond to different rainfall events and to assess how the natural flood management techniques are altering river levels and flows. Soils are another focus of the project. As explained earlier, the catchment advisors are conducting soil tests as part of their visits. This data is helping us to develop an understanding of the current state of the soils within the catchments. We are also in the process of developing a soil moisture research programme, which aims to assess how different land management practices affect soil moisture content. These tests will be done on arable and grassland fields and will test soil moisture up to depths of 40 centimetres from the surface. We'll be comparing different management practices, for example, grazing on a ranged branched area or rotational. With the help of Herefordshire Wildlife Trust, we are also looking into how leaky dams affect habitat and species. To do this, the habitat and species surveys have been conducted at a site prior to the construction of leaky dams to give a baseline data set. These surveys will then be repeated after the leaky dams are built to help us assess any changes that could be linked to the leaky dams. Finally, we are investigating the impacts of natural flood management on flood risk by using fixed point photography analysis. However, I'll go into this in more detail in a minute. So hopefully by this point, you are asking yourself, how can I get involved? Well, there are several ways you could help out. Perhaps you own land within one of the project catchment areas and you may wish to have some natural flood management on your land. Or maybe you'd like to join one of the natural flood management community groups. Or perhaps you want to become a project volunteer. The project has set up a volunteer scheme which has several different roles. For example, you could help out with our monitoring programme by becoming a fixed point photography volunteer. This involves repeatedly taking photos of the same location, helping us collect anecdotal evidence to show how the watercourse is behaving since we have implemented natural flood management. With the help of the Environment Agency, we're also running a River Morph survey training course, which will enable volunteers to take part in a national citizen science research project, which involves conducting surveys that assess the river's physical habitat and hydromorphological functioning. Once trained, the volunteers will be able to conduct surveys and upload their data onto a national website. Over time, these surveys can be repeated on the same section of watercourse to help identify any changes. If you'd prefer to help out in a more physical way, we're also asking for volunteers to help with tree planting. If you'd like to get involved in any way, please do get in touch with me and I can provide you with more information. My contact details are on the bottom of the screen. So far, I've covered a lot about natural flood management in a rural setting. However, I'd now like to look into urban settings. One of the first things to consider about urban settings is how the water flows. Urban developments, such as new houses, result in areas that were once grassed or planted being replaced by impermeable surfaces, which don't allow water to infiltrate into them. This results in more water flowing across the ground surface, which means water gets into the watercourse faster, and this can increase flood risk. It is, however, possible to use natural flood management principles to help reduce flood risk in urban areas. This is often referred to as sustainable urban drainage, or SUDS for short. Some examples of what you could do at home include, you could have a water butt. Having a water butt that collects water from your rainwater from your roof. To help the water butts achieve their maximum benefit, before a heavy rainfall, you can open the tap so that they have and increase water holding capacity. You could replace impermeable surfaces, such as tarmac drives, with permeable paving or surfaces such as gravel, which allow the water to infiltrate into them, allowing the water to go into the soil and flow slowly into the rivers. You could also plant green roofs, as these help soak up the water and slow the flow of water reaching the watercourse. You could also create swales. As you can see in these images, a swale is a small depression in the ground that collects water, allowing the water to infiltrate into the ground. These could be made at the side of roads or in areas of your garden and could be planted with more wetland-type species. Finally, you could also create a rain garden. These rain gardens could be in planters, attached to drain pipes or on the ground, and they work by temporarily storing water that has been diverted into them. All of these measures help slow the flow of water travelling through urban areas, helping to reduce flood risk. If you want to find out more about this, then I suggest that you look at the Calderdale Slow the Flow website, which contains lots more information on this topic. I've included the website link at the bottom of this page. Following the National Planning Policy Framework guidelines, all new developments must ensure they do not increase flood risk. It also encourages the use of SUDs. These requirements are a key consideration when determining planning applications and are often addressed by surface water management plans, which often include the use of soakaways or attenuation areas. In Herefordshire, the following policies within the core strategy promote the use of SUDs in new developments. Policy SD3, Sustainable Water Management and Water Resources. Policy SD4, Wastewater Treatment and River Water Quality. More information about the design and principles of SUDs can be found in the Syria SUDs Manual. It's really important that we ensure new developments meet these requirements. I personally think it's very important that we encourage developers to do more than the minimum requirements, and where possible encourage them to adopt a wide variety of SUDs, as this not only helps to reduce flood risk but also helps to achieve multiple benefits such as improved habitats and water quality. Thanks for your time. Do you have any questions?